Bidders on Conklin and Company are not necessarily those of 13 ABC. Now, Conklin and Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
Welcome back, everyone. Conklin and Company continues now. The return of Take 3. We didn't have a show last week. The Indy 500 preempted us, but what a great race it was. But we're back. Tom Troy's back, and Skylar Meadows is back. And greetings and salutations to both of you.
Thank you.
It's been a busy couple of weeks on a number of fronts. First, let's go to the governor's race. Tom, you've got a story up today in the Blade about the race for governor, kind of the tale of the tape.
Right.
Ed Fitzgerald and John Kasich. Not a big surprise here that John Kasich has quite a bit more money than the Democrat.
A fair amount of money. He's got about almost $9 million banked. He's considerably outraised Ed Fitzgerald, the Democratic nominee. And the concern within the Democratic ranks is that Fitzgerald isn't raising the money he needs to make a competitive race. He's got a good story to tell, according to the Democrats, and a good resume and good issues. But if he doesn't have the money, the voters aren't going to hear about it. And our story looks at some problems with the campaign in terms of reaching those big ticket donors and filling up those campaign coffers.
Does he, Skylar, does he have the gravitas, the magnetism that goes into maybe raising some of that money?
You know, that's an interesting point that you bring up, Lee. Is it charisma that raises dollars, or is it messaging that raises dollars? And I think that you need a little bit of both. He has it, but the point is that if you have problems reaching your donors, if you don't have a good fundraiser, and I'm not saying anything about their fundraiser, but I'm saying you've got to have a guerrilla marketing fundraising team. This is a short stretch. If you can't do it,
really is a short
and you
stretch,
and you don't, it's in like a 9-month increment. If you can't meet your benchmarks, then you're sunk. So it really doesn't matter whether you're the most charismatic person in the world or the best fundraiser. If you don't have both and you can't bring the dollars in, you're sunk.
Well, they're trying to put the best face on it. That he's not the type of guy to call up people he doesn't know and ask for tens of thousands of dollars.
Don't you have to anymore?
But call time is call time, and that's going to be the thing.
You got. Of course, he's also the full-time county executive for Cuyahoga County.
There's a job to do. Right.
But
he's got a day job.
Yeah. Okay, but even so, that would lend itself to being able to raise more money because you know what FaceTime is. You're in people's face all the time. So, for example, when Jane Campbell ran for mayor of Cleveland and she was still a state representative, she raised like $250,000 in like 5 phone calls. So it can be done, but you just, like you said, you have to have the good face with the good name, and the clock's ticking.
And this is his first time running outside of Cuyahoga County. This is the big time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a detriment? I mean, to the fundraising?
Yeah, I think it's a detriment to his knowledge and experience, the experience of his campaign staff, and also it's a higher hurdle for him to get to because he's not known outside of the county. Really.
How much time? He has his day job, as you said, Tom, but he's got to get to Columbus, and he's got to get to Cincinnati and Toledo, and he's got to come here a lot, right?
And I don't know about you, but I don't think he's been here a lot.
No.
But he's not the only one.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the only candidate. Look at Nina Turner. I mean, look at everyone else. Even Kasich running for re-election. You still have your day job as governor. You can't just say, oh, steer the ship by itself. Yeah, really. No, you can't. You got to raise money, even though he's out raising, Fitzgerald. But I'm saying money is going to be it. But I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
But the job seems to go on the back burner, the day job, when fundraising comes into play. When you have to raise the money, though.
But can I disagree with you a moment? Well, I can, but I mean, I'm going to disagree with you about right, First Amendment, that's why we're here, about the fundraising, because even if he is a candidate that doesn't have that much name recognition, he's the statewide candidate, so it is up to the statewide party to launch guerrilla marketing. So
I was providing some of the spin that they're giving. The bottom line is he hasn't raised as much money as candidates that ran in 2010 or 2006. He's lagging. He's the lowest of 3 races. His fundraising so far is the lowest. And it's, in other words, he was outraised by Strickland in 2006, Strickland in 2010, Kasich in 2010, and even Blackwell in 2006.
And they all came from, like you said, higher profile jobs. So I get your point, what's going on. But also it spans to the economy. If you don't have the money in Ohio, you just don't have the money.
And there's a perception that Kasich's on a pretty strong trajectory. He had that Quinnipiac poll. He was at 50% in that poll recently.
Well, that was the question. We talked about magnetism or charisma or what have you, but what about record? Okay, John Kasich runs on his first 4 years, and Ed Fitzgerald runs on his record as a county executive. So who's got the better story to tell, Tom?
Well, he's got a record in Cuyahoga County. Will that really resonate with people in Hamilton County or Marietta? Yeah. He's really got to run on the issues that are negative for Kasich. Senate Bill 5 you're going to hear a lot about Senate Bill 5.
Still.
Yeah.
Voting rights still.
Loss of local funds, and some things that women's rights issues. Kasich has signed some pro-life, anti-abortion kind of legislation, and they'll play that up with women voters.
Privatization, a lot of things that Kasich wants to privatize, people don't. I think that goes back to what you were saying in the beginning. Yeah, buildings. We're going to talk about that, right?
Let's
segue
because we don't have a ton of time here. But story earlier this week that the rent's going up at Government Center has gone up. It's gone up a lot. Yeah. City can afford to stay there, Tom, and the county.
Right. It's expensive. The state, I guess the rent was kept a little bit low up until a point, and then the state came along and doubled it from $6 to $13 a square foot. They've got a more modest.
Could you imagine if you were living in an apartment and we're doubling your rent next month?
Well, of course, the city and the state are doing the same, and county are doing the same thing that you would do. They're threatening to move out. Now there's an offer from the state, buy the building from us.
And the DS is trying to make it pleasant, as you put in your article. Well, this is specific to one government center in Toledo because we don't want them to move out. Well, if you were really that serious about it, you would have negotiated something, a month ago.
First,
a year ago beforehand, right?
Stuck it with that increase.
Right.
Lastly, before we go, Larry Sykes, at least as we tape here on Friday, continues to say, I'm not resigning, but the number of unions that have stepped forward to ask or demand for his resignation or a censure continues to increase. And as of Friday, it was, I believe, 5 unions. Tom?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I think Larry Sykes was a fighter at one time, boxer. So he's taken some hits. The bell's about to ring on him. I don't know if he's going to make it through. Now, of course, none of these unions has the ability to make him resign.
No, of course not.
And none of them really. I can detect a certain motive, on all their parts to want this to happen. For one thing, he was not a Democrat. They're all aligned with the Democratic Party. He was not a Democrat. He was a non-endorsed Democrat, ran without the party's endorsement. So they've got no investment in him, so to speak. And I don't know. I think their members were angry that he would take on a city employee and make an accusation based on racism that was unfounded.
Yeah. Skylar, we've got about a minute here.
A minute here. Okay, let me summarize now. So council's probably not going to get in it, and if they do get in it, what are they going to censure? I mean, okay, so this happened, and I'm not minimizing it, but I'm saying this is a story that keeps going on, and it's really between Sykes and TPPA. So everybody else just stand back, and then the voters 4 years from now.
In the end, I'll ask you, in the end, does Larry Sykes resign?
No.
No. He says he's not going to. Tom?
I don't think he'll resign.
Yeah. He said, and every time we call him, no, not going anywhere. Thanks for joining us once again. Good topics, good conversation. Tom Troy and Skylar Meadows on Take 3. We'll be back next week with another edition of Conklin and Company. You can watch us all this week on 13 ABC Action News. Have a great Sunday afternoon, everybody. Take care.